Introduction. English has become a subject that is taught to the student at school. Johnson defined that there are various reasons for learning a foreign language, which are for study purpose, adapting to the culture of the country in which someone lives, for international communication with people from different countries, and for international communication with people from within their country. The learning process consists of supporting materials and strategy included and the activity during the learning process take place. According to Lusmina, the components of the curriculum consist IM, material learning strategy, and evaluation. Moreover, a study conducted by showed that a curriculum has components such as development of objective, material contents, strategies, methods, also tools, and research, which consists of evaluation. In short, a curriculum is one of the elements in teaching that consists of components involved which will achieve the aim or objective of a curriculum itself. Concerning English as a subject, it is related to the curriculum use. Over time, a curriculum is always changed or updated. There are national and international curriculum that have their own purpose and competencies that want to be achieved in education. According to Sudarman, there are competencies by using an international curriculum to face globalization. They are related to communication skill, the ability to think clearly and critically, the ability to consider moral issues as a problem, the ability to be a good citizen responsibility, the ability to try to understand and be tolerant of different points of view, and the ability to live in a globalized society. Aside from that, he tolerant of different points of view. Indonesian generation must have a broad range of interests in life. Be willing to work, be intelligent under their talents, interests, have a sense of environmental responsibility. Several kinds of research on the implementation of Cambridge curriculum have been conducted. One of the studies was conducted by which entitled The Practice of English Language Teaching Using Cambridge Primary Curriculum in Sekolah Dasar Kristen Kalam, Kudus, Surakarta. The findings revealed the difference with this study was that teaching and learning approach followed the principle of metacognition and active learning in which a student-centered classroom was emphasized, while the teacher was autonomous to design the teaching approach. Also, the study did not conduct the stage of implementing a curriculum. However, the similarity between the study and our study was in the classroom activities in which the interaction between teacher and student was positive. Students demonstrate eager learning and participation as well as a highly competitive atmosphere. However, the similarity between the study and our study was in the classroom activity in which the interaction between teacher and student was positive. Students demonstrate eager learning and participation as well as a highly competitive atmosphere. As the preliminary student which was conducted for that, we interviewed a teacher of English at SIS. We found that in primary school, Cambridge only used for the task of the end the level of the stage, which is called as a Cambridge primary checkpoint. However, SIS has been used Cambridge. Students were expected to be ready for raising the word by competencies they have. Second, for implementing Cambridge Primary English, SIS prepared teachers in order to take part in training for Cambridge because the following the training teacher proficiency and competency could not be dubbed and follow the Cambridge lower secondary English instruction and framework in teaching. Third, by implementing Cambridge's curriculum, students were interested in learning. Literature review. Teachers' perception, the nature of curriculum, the importance of curriculum. The teacher perception are important to the study. Perception is an emotional or intellectual reaction to be the direction and purpose of the curriculum itself. The components consist of objective or aims, teaching method, the activity and learning process, and assessment used to determine the needs of a group learner. To develop aims or objective for a program to address those needs, to determine appropriate syllabus, course structure, teaching methods, and teaching materials, and to evaluate the language program that result from this process. Curriculum is an essential part of the education system because it's a tool to achieve educational aims and goals. Therefore, there are some points of the importance of curriculum according to good impact of this importance are as follows. Impact on administrator, teacher, and student. A curriculum allows administrator to provide a dynamic educational program for current and prospective students. School, college, and universities attract students with a variety of quality, competitive, and flexible program curriculum. A curriculum for teachers provides ideas and strategies for a teacher to use in assessing students' progress. A student must meet certain academic requirements to go to the next level. Without the guidance of a curriculum, teachers cannot be assured that they have supplied the necessary knowledge or the opportunity. For a student at the next, understanding of what must be accomplished to obtain a degree without such knowledge, student will be lost in a maze of academic courses that appear to lead nowhere if they do not have such knowledge. They would have no assurance that they are taking the proper subjects toward a diploma or a degree. A curriculum promotes a sense of order and structure in the pursuit of academic success. Apart from the above, a curriculum is also important for students, environment, and the purpose it. Tedes Property and Amen. You found that curriculum ideas would need to define what is meant by excellent education for all. What are the conditions and process required to ensure that justice, equity, and inclusion are the main organizing principle of curriculum development? Quality is the outcome of a process. It can be promulgated only on the basis of national and international assessment. The teacher attributes in Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. There are competitions that should be held for teacher and student in using the Cambridge curriculum. According to Sullivan, the Cambridge learner and teacher attributes are designed to help students establish powerful and highly desired learning habits that will encourage them. Previously related studies in this point. Some previous studies are described. The first study was conducted by Kusumawati entitled Implementasi Kurikulum Cambridge dalam Pembelajaran Bahasa Inggris, which has similarly that focus on describing implementation learning English at Sekolah Dasar Kristen Halang Kudus Surakarta. The study has revealed that the implementation of the Cambridge curriculum is carried out through planning, implementing, and evaluating learning activities by teacher carried out through internal evaluational and student evaluation. The difference to the study that we conducted is about supporting also obstacle factor. The obstacle found were limited English skill, limited time, and limited facilities have been overcome with various efforts. For the limited English skill, the teacher joined English course and attended training seminar held by Cambridge. Then, the teacher made a summary of the material so that students were able to learn independently. Last, for the limited facilities, school tried to add a computer or laptop in learning English. Second, the previous related study. A study was conducted by Fitria Suyono and Rahman on the implementation of the Cambridge curriculum at SD Islam Kreatif Mutiara Anak Salah. Has similar stage implemented to our study, it can be concluded that the implementation of the curriculum was divided into three stages, namely A. Planning, B. Implementation, and evaluation. The result of the planning stage could be seen in the preparation of the framework or syllabus and lesson plan or RPT. Then the implementation stage can be seen from the learning facilities and research that support learning activities, such as learning media such as textbook, and carrying out implementation at the school has gone through a check progress test or CPT, and a checkpoint which is held once a year at the end of the year and is held by Cambridge 6th graders. Our study, on the other hand, explained how the Cambridge English checkpoint for Cambridge Lower Secondary was implemented. Methodology research design, site, and respondents. Qualitative research with a case study approach was selected in order to know such as a phenomenon dealing with the teacher perception towards the implementation of Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum at one private school in Palembang. A case study means that we can explore and understand an issue or problem by using a case. Case means process, activity, or program in real life. According to Hamilton and Whittier, a case study emerged as a positive proponent capable of deepening comprehension in real-world context rather than just presenting contextualized facts. Furthermore, qualitative research with a case study was used to find out the teacher perception. In the study, we choose the teacher to be the participant because we would like to know how the teacher ran the curriculum for the student throughout the learning process. We use purposeful sampling technique for choosing the participant of the study. Total sampling was selected from several types of purposeful sampling. According to the VIDIPA, the total population is a type of process sampling is with a researcher uses total sampling when a researcher select the entire population. There were 2 teachers who taught in SIS secondary, therefore we choose all of the teachers who taught English for lower secondary to be our participant. Data collection analysis. In collecting the data, we use interview for obtaining information from teachers of English that aim to know their perception about the implementation of Cambridge Lower Secondary's English curriculum at Singapore Indonesia School or SES Palembang. To gain the data in this research, we use interview with an appointment. An interview is one of the techniques in gaining data in qualitative research. The interview was done between interviewers and interviews to find the teacher perception. We applied a semi-structured interview, a semi-structured question with a listen question that explore the question, obtaining more perspective information of the teacher view about Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. In analyzing the teacher perception of the implementation of Cambridge Lower Secondary English, the researcher followed some steps. They were first, we prepared information, secondary English, the teacher followed some steps. They were first, we prepared information about the interview, transcribed it, and then took notes of interview material. Second, the researcher read all the data carefully so that the researcher could find a general meaning. Third, the researcher read all the data carefully so that the researcher could find a general meaning. Third, the researcher analyzed the data and labeled the categories. In other words, it was cold coding. Fourth, we generate the description through coding, and then it was categorized into them. Next, we represented them in the qualitative narrative. In other words, the researcher described the information that had been analyzed. It was related to the research question. Finally, we interpret teachers' perception about Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. Findings: the interview was conducted to find out the teacher perception on the implementation of Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. After gaining the data from the interview, the data was analyzed by using thematic analysis. The description of the results are presented as follows. Discussion: the second and implementation of learning that during the learning English process, students could learn well without any difficulties in acquiring the materials. It was because the student could learn without any difficulties in acquiring the materials. It was because the teacher had a good way of teaching the student. Teacher and motivation influenced the learning process. Studies show that teacher has a role in enhancing student learning. Motivation is one of the essential tasks that must be included in learning activities. Conclusion and recommendation or implication. Based on the result of the thematic analysis of the data, we found the 3 stages of implementing Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. They were program development, implementation of learning, and evaluation. The first stage was program development. There were 6 points in program development. 6 points in this stage. They were the teacher adapt the teaching plan from Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum to the school needs. The teacher follow and adjust the scheme of work SOW English as a guideline in the English instruction. The teacher adopt Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum materials for variety of material research for the English instruction, and the teacher prepares students to follow Cambridge Lower Secondary English checkpoint. The second stage was the implementation of learning. There were 6 points in the second stage. There were the Cambridge Lower Secondary English place more focus on student learning skill, and the teacher engaged students during the learning process by having them reflect on their daily life in relation to the English instruction. The teacher reflect themselves on the teacher and attributes such as confidence in teaching the Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. The materials such as confidence in teaching the Cambridge Lower Secondary English curriculum. The material provide an opportunity for students attributes such as confidence and reflective by media instruction at school, and the Cambridge Lower Secondary English material are suitable for the student. The last stage was evaluation. Based on the teacher perception, there were 4 points. The teacher followed all of the assessment tools from Cambridge. The level of Cambridge question is higher thinking other than Indonesia for English assessment. The result of students' performance in Cambridge Lower Secondary English checkpoint in accordance with Cambridge aim and the form of Cambridge Lower Secondary English checkpoint are essay, tick a box, and writing. Thank you.